Hi there. I just felt the urge to record this. It's something that a lot of us are talking about right now. It's something that's been on my mind so much. It's the concept that the lockdowns are like a cover-up for pulling kids out of the tunnels. It's such a big thing because, it's so out of our everyday line of thinking. Like just having this underground satanic kids dark world itself is just hard enough to grasp. Let alone that there are these angelic forces that are down there blowing it up and saving these children. We can't even get our head around what they've been doing to these children. Like the whole thing, it's just completely, it's not called the Great Awakening for nothing. Let's just put it that way. But how to acclimate that and the lockdown. So I'm going to talk from a Melbourne perspective because that's what I know. I am Melbourneite who went through that. I'm not there now. We shifted our family up to Queensland, but I certainly know and watched the whole thing unfold. And, most of the people that I love are still going through it. And you sort of see the devastation that the lockdown has done. And you can't imagine that they would, it feels nefarious, like it's completely nefarious. If you're in tune, you know that's an invasion. That was never designed to save children. So how do we acclimate those two things? And these are just my thoughts on it because I don't believe, I don't know if I believe this or not, but who knows? Who knows what the answer is? We all have our own ideas on it and what resonates for us the most. So this is sort of where I've come to it. JCK talked about, she's that psychic and uses the looking glass technology, and she's psychic, I suppose, and she was telling us about what she sees happening underground. And it was more than just like sex trafficking and having those young kids there and all that sort of stuff and being rescued. It was much more than that. It was basically hell. And she saw devils and demons and, what she described in the visions that she saw was very much what you imagine the Bible talks about, the war against good and evil. And that's exactly what she saw. And when she said that, it totally resonated for me because that's what I felt like those days when I was in Melbourne, and I'm just feeling like we're not allowed to go out on the streets at night. Like they're very, very, very serious about it. And 2 and 2 does not equal 6. Like they haven't even really got proper reasoning to do this. We know that, we believe that potentially, there is work happening underground. We see the seismic activity with, they're saying that there's earthquakes going on in all the areas, but actually people are saying that they're explosions, people are smelling things. So if that's the case, then absolutely they probably wouldn't want people out on the streets. But the thing is, the reason why it's so difficult to acclimate those two things is because of the absolute tyranny and devastation that is caused by these lockdowns. You can't imagine that it's worth it. Like it's massive, and unless you're in it, like in Melbourne, you don't really understand. Like you can see it on the news, and you can be from overseas or interstate and have compassion and go, you just keep going, it's going to be amazing. But it's more than that. Like I can't even really put into words what it's like. And also watching the degradation of the mental health and the people losing their businesses, like literally that whole town is being crushed to smithereens. And you think, well, there must be another way. Why wouldn't they just tell us about what's happening underground? Like, what is it worth it? Like, there must be another way. But maybe, but the thing is that I sort of have come to see is maybe this Jasara Nasara the quantum financial system is being rolled out. And in order for that to be rolled out, you need to crush the old in order to bring in the new. Now, I'm only talking about one state here or city. I'm talking about Melbourne. But, of course, very similar things in different variations are happening all over the world. So I'm just going to stick to the Melbourne story. So you need to crush that in order to bring in the new. So it looks like beautiful families are losing their family business that their grandparents built up for, and the devastation and the heartache and all of that stuff. And the people who are suffering so much from the lockdowns, like the way I kind of described it the other day is that you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Again, what we also need to consider is, just like I mentioned, we need to break down the old system in order to bring in the new. And we are unconsciously still attaching to that. Like, even those of us who are awake, we're still trying to hang on to what we had. And that's perfectly normal because we don't know what's in front of us. We don't know what it looks like. So we have to try and hang on to what it is that we've used as our survival all this time, what we've been told, which is our businesses and our homes and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's completely unthinkable to totally surrender all of that at this point and say, yay, let's just throw that all away and I'm going to be looked after and, the news is going to be amazing. Like, I just think that that's, for most of us, a fantasy idea. So we're still hanging on to it in some way. And not even just in our own personal ways, but when we look around at our friends and our peers or who we see on the news who are losing businesses, we feel for them and we want them to be able to keep what they have. The truth is if we know, like if we jumped into time travel 2 years into the future and we look back now, we're like, oh yeah, that all makes sense. I kind of actually do that mentally a lot to give me peace in the now moment. I kind of do that mental time travel, and that sort of makes me feel really peaceful. The second thing I want to point out is, aside from crushing the economy to bring in the new financial system, is this transition, this consciousness transition, this movement into 5D or Christ consciousness or the kingdom of heaven, or so many ways of saying this, the high vibration out of the low, dense vibration, but all of that. This isn't for us in this now moment necessarily. This is for humans or the earth plane or galactically or whatever, but it's for the future. It's for time. It's eternal. It's the shift that needs to happen now for everybody involved now, in the past and in the future. That's hard to grasp because we are taught that time is linear and you've got a past, present and future, but it's actually all one. And that the way I'm going to describe that is when I saw this Maori woman open up the Human Sovereignty Summit from the New Earth Project, and she opened that up with this beautiful ceremony. And what she was doing, she was channeling the future generations, speaking to the ancestors and thanking them for what they did in this moment. And us, right now, we're the ancestors that they were speaking to. And they were thanking us for our bravery and thanking us for what we did. And they told us about what we created for them and for the future. And that really touched me. And I guess it's touching me now as well, because it's a beautiful thing. So we put up our hands on a soul level to be a part of this, to bring in, to collapse the old dark systems, to shine the light on it, and to bring forward heaven on earth, the golden age, the 5D consciousness, but not just for us in the now moment, but for everything that comes after us. And that includes us, because we are eternal sovereign beings. We are infinite. So we enjoy that. We enjoy the future. We enjoy it now. But we are the soldiers that are facilitating and ushering this in. So we need to just connect to that and try and stay at that level, I suppose, when we see all the 3D, 4D stuff going on around us and we can't acclimate it. And that's because we're still human with this human mind. And I guess we're bouncing from the human mind into the higher self mind, which is eternal. But if you just try to remember that this is for the history or the future history of the world. And I guess I just want to remind us that they thank us. And it's beautiful. Anyway, I love you guys. Bye.